Imagine you're holding like just a single puzzle piece in the palm of your hand,
Okay.
and it's really oddly shaped. The colors on it are this muddy, kind of indistinct mix of brown and gray.
Look like the ones you always want to leave in the box.
Right, exactly. It has these weird, jagged edges, and on its own, just sitting on your coffee table, it looks completely useless. You might even like be tempted to just sweep it into the trash.
Yeah, because it doesn't look like anything.
Exactly. But drop it into the exact right empty spot on a massive 1,000-piece puzzle board, and suddenly it completes the entire image. It becomes the most valuable piece in the box.
The anchor piece.
Right. Now think about this. The piece itself didn't change its shape, its color, or its physical makeup at all. The only thing that changed was its context. Welcome to today's deep dive. We are unpacking a genuinely mind-bending essay today by Sifeng. It's from February 23, 2025, and it's titled The Secret to Realizing Self-Worth.
It is a fascinating read, truly.
It really is. And our mission today, for you listening, is to challenge a very comforting, very fundamental assumption that most of us hold, which is the idea that your self-worth is this static, inherent trait.
Like you just have a battery of worth inside you.
Right, like you have some fixed amount of value locked inside of you just waiting to be recognized by the world.
Which, I mean, it's a beautiful romantic notion, right? But the text argues it's one that basically sets us up for a ton of misery.
Oh, completely.
Because we spend our entire lives trying to build up that internal value. We get the degrees, we read the self-improvement books, we try to optimize our morning routines.
Green juice.
Right, exactly. All operating on the assumption that if we just get smart enough or skilled enough, the world will universally recognize our worth. But Stufeng's premise throws a massive wrench into that machinery.
It really does.
The argument here is that value isn't something you possess internally. It's something that is entirely dictated by where you are standing and who is looking at you.
And to get us there, Stufeng uses some incredibly stark imagery.
Yeah.
Like, forget the gentle metaphors about puzzle pieces that I just used.
Yeah, the text goes way harder than that.
Way harder. The very first scenario presented to illustrate this point involves literal cow dung.
Yes, manure.
Literal manure. If you take a lump of cow dung and place it in the middle of a sleek, modern corporate office building, or like on a busy city street or in a supermarket, it's a disaster.
It's an active hazard.
People are completely disgusted by it, and they will literally expend time and money to get rid of it.
Right. The perceived value in that specific environment is actually deeply negative. It's a liability.
Yeah.
But the geographical shift is where the magic happens here. If you take that exact same material without altering its chemical composition or, improving it in any way.
You don't polish the dung.
You don't polish it. You just drop it into a countryside vegetable field. And suddenly, it is welcomed. It's this life-giving fertilizer.
The farmers actively want it.
The garden desperately needs it. The dung didn't read a self-help book to become better, right? It just changed its coordinates.
I mean, I have to be honest, though. Comparing human potential to a literal pile of manure in an office lobby, it stings a bit.
Oh, it's jarring.
It feels incredibly harsh.
Yeah.
Because we like to think of ourselves as diamonds in the rough, right? Like a diamond is valuable whether it's in a fancy jewelry store or just sitting in the mud. So is the author saying absolutely nothing has universal value?
It is definitely a deliberate provocation. The text uses that extreme contrast to really shake us out of that diamond in the rough fantasy.
Okay.
Because the reality is very few things actually function like diamonds. Most of us function like highly specialized tools. And when Stufeng shatters that illusion with the dung analogy, it strips away our ego.
It definitely does that.
It forces us to acknowledge how hostile and incompatible an environment can actually be. And the essay takes us even further. It moves from inanimate objects to living creatures, specifically looking at the dynamic between a plow ox, a farmer, and a famous pop singer.
Let's unpack that one, because it really gets to the psychological core of feeling misplaced.
Yeah, it's a great example.
So you give a massive, strong, mud-covered plow ox to an old farmer, and that farmer is just overjoyed. To him, this animal literally represents survival.
It's his livelihood.
Right, it's the engine that's going to till his soil, grow his crops, and feed his family. The ox's natural traits, like its brute strength and its endurance, they're perfectly aligned with what the environment demands.
But then place that exact same ox in the living room or like the pristine recording studio of a pop singer.
Oh man, a disaster.
Total disaster. The traits haven't changed at all. The ox is still strong, still resilient, But in a studio, those traits are horribly destructive.
Yeah, it's knocking over expensive microphones, ruining the white carpet, just causing absolute chaos.
Right. And for the singer, this creature is a massive, stressful burden. She definitely doesn't need soil tilled in her vocal booth. And Shuofeng points out the brutal reality of this mismatch. The text says the singer will either give the ox away or slaughter it for meat.
Which is dark. But let's think about the psychology of being that ox for a second.
Yeah, put yourself in those hooves.
Right. Imagine you are in that singer's house.
Hmm.
You're trying your hardest, you're putting in the hours. But every single time you move, you break something.
You feel terrible.
You probably start to feel deeply inherently flawed.
Mm-hmm.
You might think, oh, I need to be quieter. I need to make myself smaller. I need to learn to appreciate pop music. You spend all your energy trying to fix your inherent nature because the environment keeps screaming at you that you are a problem.
And that is the exact trap so many professionals fall into today.
Oh, totally.
We go to therapy or we hire expensive executive coaches to figure out what's, wrong with us, completely blind to the fact that we are just an ox in a recording studio.
Right. Yeah.
We are trying so hard to adapt to an ecosystem that actively penalizes our greatest strengths. The tragedy isn't that we are flawed, it's that we refuse to just leave the room.
And it's not just about raw utility either. It's also about subjective, almost arbitrary appreciation.
Yeah.
Which brings us to the art example.
The auction, yes.
Right. Sweeping brings up the world of fine art to really hammer this home. The essay mentions Kibaishi's famous painting, 12 Landscape Screens, which auctioned for an astronomical 930 million yuan.
A staggering amount of money.
Insane amount. Yet, the author states plainly that if it were up to them, their absolute maximum bid for that exact same painting would be a mere 99 yuan.
I love that detail because that gap, 930 million versus 99 yuan, that is the entire thesis in a nutshell.
Yeah.
The canvas, the ink, the historical context of the brushstrokes, none of that holds objective scientific monetary value. The billionaire art collector operates in this elite ecosystem where owning that piece grants immense social capital, prestige, financial leverage.
It's a flex.
Exactly. It's a massive flex. So to them, the value is astronomical. But to someone outside that ecosystem who, just wants something colorful to hang in their hallway so the wall isn't blank, the value completely plummets to the cost of a printed poster.
And this maps so perfectly onto human careers.
Yeah.
Especially the Elon Musk example that Sufeng uses.
Oh, the Musk example is perfect.
The argument is that if Elon Musk had stayed in South Africa and decided to just raise cattle, the absolute ceiling for his success would be like obscure farmer. Same brain, same risk tolerance, same relentless work ethic.
But totally different outcome.
Yep.
And the mechanism of why that happens is crucial to understand here. An ecosystem can only amplify what it is structurally built to absorb.
Right.
Cattle farming in South Africa as an economic environment doesn't require, and it certainly doesn't reward, the ability to conceptualize reusable orbital rockets or build global electric vehicle infrastructure.
It's the ox in the studio again.
Exactly. Those specific cognitive traits would be frustrating, misaligned, and ultimately pretty useless on a cattle ranch.
It's like having a top-of-the-line, liquid-cooled, incredibly powerful gaming computer, but you're only using it as a doorstop.
A doorstop. That's a great analogy.
Right. Like you've got these massive graphics cards and immense processing power sitting right there on the floor. But the environment, the physical act of just holding a wooden door open, makes all that internal hardware completely irrelevant.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how fast the processor is.
A $5 piece of rubber would actually do a better job. The computer isn't broken, it's just being asked to solve the entirely wrong problem.
And honestly, how many people are walking around right now feeling like failed doorstops when they're actually supercomputers?
So many.
The text implies that the United States provided Musk with the exact hardware and software compatibility he needed, like deep venture capital markets, a massive engineering talent pool, and a culture that actively tolerates spectacular, expensive failures.
That ecosystem unlocked the value.
Exactly. That specific environment unlocked the value that made him the wealthiest person on the planet.
So if we accept this, if we, agree that environment is the ultimate arbiter of worth, how do we stop being doorstops?
That's the big question.
Do we just start randomly moving to different cities or quitting our jobs until we blindly stumble into a vegetable field that wants our fertilizer?
Well, fortunately, Shuafeng doesn't leave this as just some abstract philosophical thought experiment. The text actually provides a very specific diagnostic framework.
Okay, the three secrets.
Right, 3 conditions must be met to realize your value, and the order really matters here. The very first rule is go where you are needed.
Utility.
Or
Like the farmer physically needs the soil tilled, the vegetable garden desperately needs the nutrients. You have to find a deficit that your specific shape can actually fill.
Right, but utility is just the baseline. It's just the cost of entry. If you are a brilliant structural engineer, but you move to a quaint little town where no one is building anything new, your skills have zero utility there.
Yeah, you're not needed.
Right, you have to diagnose the market demand for your specific traits. But utility alone is a trap, which leads us directly to the second rule, go where you are appreciated.
Let's linger on the friction between those first two rules, actually, because I think this is where most people get super stuck in their lives.
Oh, absolutely.
Being needed and being appreciated are definitely not the same thing.
Not at all.
Like, what if you are the person who is desperately needed to clean up a massive toxic mess at a failing startup? You are doing the grueling invisible work that is literally keeping the lights on. They absolutely need you, but no one appreciates you for it. They just treat you like a burden or an afterthought.
That scenario is the fast track to absolute soul-crushing burnout. When you are needed but not appreciated, you are essentially treated as an appliance.
An appliance, wow.
Yeah, like a refrigerator. A refrigerator is highly needed in a kitchen, but nobody stands around praising it for keeping the milk cold.
Right. You only get noticed when you break.
Exactly. You only get attention when you stop working. On the flip side of that, what if you are appreciated but not needed?
You just become a novelty, like a mascot. People might love having you around the office because you're great at small talk or you always bring in donuts. But when budget cuts happen,
You're the first to go.
right, because you aren't structurally necessary.
Exactly. And that's why Shuafeng links them so tightly. True self-worth requires the intersection of both of those external validations. You have to be the ox for the farmer.
Right.
The farmer relies on your utility to survive. That's the need. And because of that survival, the farmer is overjoyed to see you every single morning. That's the appreciation. You need the person who doesn't just want a painting to cover a hole in the wall, but is willing to bid $930 million for your specific painting.
That makes the third rule so interesting to me. Because the first two, being needed and being appreciated, they are entirely dependent on other people.
Yes, they are external metrics.
They're about external geography.
Yeah.
But the third secret Sufeng introduces turns the lens completely inward. The rule is, do work you enjoy and excel at, and pursue a career you are passionate about.
Because you can't just hack the system by finding a lucrative market need that people will praise you for if the work itself slowly destroys your soul.
Right.
Once you secure the right external coordinates, your internal engine actually has to fire. If you hate the daily reality of tilling the field, it doesn't matter how much the farmer loves you, you will still feel completely hollow.
It's like the holy trinity of fulfillment. You need the market demand, you need the emotional recognition from your peers or leaders, and you need your own internal drive.
All three.
If you're missing even one of those, the puzzle piece doesn't quite fit. You're just performing a duty, you're not realizing your worth.
What really elevates this text, though, and I think this is where it gets incredibly profound, is what happens next.
Yeah, the pivot.
Right. Up until this point, we've been discussing this as highly pragmatic, almost ruthless career advice. Find the market, find the praise, do what you like. But Zhu reveals that this framework isn't just about climbing the corporate ladder. It's rooted in a staggering metaphysical worldview.
Yeah, the essay takes this massive, profound pivot into the nature of existence itself. It states, point blank, that nature creates all things with a purpose. Every single thing has its function and its value. There are no accidents in this system.
It replaces a universe of, random chaotic chance with a universe of strict intentional design. The Dung, the Ox, the Elon Musks of the world, they were all generated to execute a specific function. And the text argues that humans were actually created by gods and super celestial beings.
That phrase, super celestial beings, really jumps out. Like, we aren't just talking about biology anymore. We're talking about cosmic engineering.
And the implication of that cosmic engineering is the absolute anchor for this entire philosophy.
How so?
Well, the reason your inherent value never drops to zero, even when you are being treated like trash in the wrong office building, is because your value was literally imprinted upon you by these celestial architects.
You were manufactured with a blueprint.
Exactly. Therefore, simply by virtue of drawing breath as a human being, your intrinsic value is a guaranteed fact of the universe.
I really want you, the listener, to absorb the psychological relief of that idea. Think about the heavy, suffocating weight this lifts off your shoulders. We carry so much existential dread, terrified that maybe we just aren't good enough, that maybe we are fundamentally defective.
It's exhausting.
It is, but Schwefeng's comforting conclusion completely neutralizes the concept of inherent uselessness.
It really does. It reframes our entire concept of failure.
It shifts the blame. If you reach old age without achieving anything, the essay insists that the problem is not that you lack value. It's simply that you failed to apply the three secrets.
You just never found the intersection.
Right. You just never successfully navigated to the place that needed you, appreciated you, and allowed you to do what you love. It completely transforms an unbearable spiritual failing into basically a solvable logistical problem.
It is perhaps the most forgiving philosophy of human potential you could possibly ask for. It tells you that feeling stuck or feeling like a failure is not a symptom of a rotten soul. It is merely a symptom of being geographically, socially, or professionally misplaced. You haven't failed at being a human being. You just stayed in the recording studio trying to be a backup singer when you really should have walked out the door and found a field to plow.
This has been such an incredible journey today. I mean, we started with the incredibly jarring image of cow dung sitting in a city supermarket, being completely reviled by everyone walking past it.
A strong start.
Yeah. And then we looked at the plow ox that was an absolute nightmare for a pop singer, but a literal treasure to an old farmer. We explored the vast 930 million yuan chasm of subjective art appreciation and the environmental lottery that dictates the trajectory of brilliant minds like Elon Musk.
And we followed that logical thread all the way out to the stars, right? To the cosmic intentions of super celestial beings who guarantee that every single one of us has a vital, irreplaceable function in the grand design.
The core takeaway from Schwefeng's text is beautifully clear, and it serves as a direct command to anyone listening to this deep dive. Do not doubt yourself. Do not think you are useless, and do not believe you are good for nothing. Your value is incredibly real, but it is locked inside a combination safe, and the combination is context, appreciation, and passion.
So if you are listening to this right now and you are sitting in a cubicle or maybe a relationship or a city where you feel perpetually undervalued and frustrated, maybe you aren't lacking worth.
Yeah.
Maybe you are just an ox sitting on a white carpet in a singer's living room, wondering why everyone is always so upset with you. You don't need to learn to tap dance. You don't need to turn yourself into a lapdog to please the singer.
Well,
You just need to leave. You need to go find your farmer.
find your farmer. I absolutely love that. But before we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with one final provocative thought to mull over on your own. Something that takes Schwefeng's framework and applies it to the unpredictable reality of the modern world.
All right, lay it on us.
If our ultimate value is truly realized by finding the specific physical or social environment that desperately needs our specific shape and appreciates what we do, what happens when that environment inevitably changes?
Ooh, because we don't live in a static world.
Exactly. What if the farmer buys a tractor? If the global economy shifts, or artificial intelligence advances and the world suddenly stops needing the exact thing you excel at? Does your value vanish again? Or, according to this philosophy, are we meant to be in a constant, restless state of migration throughout our entire lives?
That's a heavy thought.
Are we doomed to endlessly hunt for the next puzzle board that has the exact right space for us? Think about that oddly shaped puzzle piece in your hand. You might know exactly where it fits today, but where does it belong tomorrow?